Great Monday. Hey, everybody. How are you? How are you? How are you? I'm so happy to see everyone. And I hope you guys had an amazing Christmas celebrating with your family and your friends. And if you didn't, some of us are solo. And so you don't have maybe your family near you. We are still all trying to be safe. But that's okay because here we are and we are headed into a new year. Thank you for joining me again for Bella's Hope for Healing. I really, really appreciate you guys' support. I just have a few little house norms that I always share with you guys to please, please, please support my channel. Smash that like button, okay? Also, not only here on Facebook, but on YouTube. Share this show because sharing is caring. I am trying to reach everyone I possibly can with this great information that I come to you with, as well as the rest of us from the Urban Health Outreach Media family. So please do that. Please share. And know also that everyone does not have Facebook, of course, and so that's why we also stream live on YouTube. We're trying to reach everyone we can. We realize, and I realize, that not everyone can join us live for the show. But the good thing is that we also this show is recorded afterwards, so you can still share the show with your family and friends. Okay. Happy birthday to everyone whose birthday. I like to always share that. Know that I wish you a happy year for this year, for next year. And hit me up in the box if it's your birthday. I would love to tell you happy birthday when I get a moment. Also, please know that we are constantly doing new and innovative shows with new topics, new speakers, new things to bring out here to the transplant community, to those waiting on transplant. Hey, Jonathan, my friend, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. My guys, A Second Chance, Phil and Tafaro, if you're out there, I see you. Thank you for joining. Yeah, so we're just trying to bring everything here to this platform that we can bring. And we're coming into this new year, guys, right? And so let's come in with a positive attitude, a positive outlook on life. I know many people set what we call New Year resolutions. I personally don't tend to describe it as that anymore for myself. I set goals, a few goals for myself, because you got to be careful when you're setting resolutions or even goals. Don't set them too high. Set them where it's a comfortable level, especially if you have a busy lifestyle, because you don't want to be disappointed if you don't achieve those goals. And so just a few, not anything that's too many things that are too difficult, because it sets ourselves up for disappointment oftentimes. So tonight, I'm bringing this show to you. It's going to be a great show. I love caregivers. I have a heart for caregivers. We are going to talk about caregivers. Caregivers are really special. It takes a special heart to care for your loved ones. Even some people will care for a friend. And that can be a difficult journey oftentimes because we have to also care for ourselves, our mental well being. Sometimes it's not easy caring for a loved one because, depending on what their situation is, their illness, medications can get involved. It can make people a little mean. And sometimes our seniors can get a little mean when they get older, especially when they're sick and if they don't know what's happening to them physically. So we have to really be patient with that. And it's really important to be knowledgeable about caregiving and love. I was reading that on an average, the duration of a caregiver runs about 4.5 years, and maybe 29% of caregivers have been in that caregiving role for at least 5 years. That's a long time. That's a long time to have to make sure that a person gets to their doctor's appointments, their medication is distributed exactly as it should be. There's no room for mistakes. That's it's difficult to juggle your own life. Many people are married and have their own families with children. So there's so many dynamics involved with being a caregiver. And that's why my guest that I'm bringing to the stage tonight is an expert at discussing the dynamics of caregiving, and we're going to talk about the highs and the lows. So even if you are not in that place, you may know someone who has been, or you may, in fact, yourself in the future be one of those people. So let's not poo-poo this show off like, oh, caregiver, that ain't my thing. No, you listen to this show and you listen to this information, because even if you're not in a position where it is beneficial to you right now, you can benefit somebody else and tell them, hey, check out this show. I think this will really bless your life. Okay. So let me tell you a little bit about our guest tonight. The awesome Dr. YVETTE Jackson resides in California. She is a single mom with 3 sons. She has a master's degree in social work from the University of Southern California. She has an honorary doctorate degree in ministry from the Bible Believers Christian College and Seminary. Yes, she is a woman of the cloth. I love it. I love it. Doing her thing out here. She also currently works with the state of California, the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation Prison. I love that, because through my church, I was formerly, before we went in lockdown, helping women in the prison as well. And there's so much love in that. She also has developed what is known as the Caregiver Chronicles, which is a 16-module, step-by-step walk-through online course specifically for caregivers. And she's going to share so much more with us about that. So coming to the stage is going to be the wonderful Dr. YVETTE. Hey, Lisa Baxter, love you. Hi.
Hello.
Hello, woman of God. How are you?
Fine, and yourself?
Good. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. I am just really on fire about this show because, as I was sharing in the intro, I just have such a great love for caregivers. It takes such a wonderful heart to, be that person and step in that role to do things like that. So I want to go right in and ask you to, if you could just start out by telling us about how what it had caused you to have, interest in social work, and how you came about even becoming a caregiver yourself. Just
Right.
a little bit about you.
Okay, thank you so much for having me today, Bella. I appreciate you bringing the Caregiver Chronicles to the platform because it's so important. I want to just say that my mother had Alzheimer's disease for 9 years, and I was her caregiver throughout that time. It was one of the most rewarding and stressful tasks that I've had in my life. Mom came with Alzheimer's disease. She started out with dementia. She was very confused, didn't know, how to do things for herself. And I ended up having to move back home with her to take care of her and my three sons as they were vastly becoming teenagers. And then I also had a toddler as well. And so I moved in her home to take care of her. She was her declining at that point, but she was waxing and waning, is what they call it, where she was not totally out of it, but she was confused. And so when I moved to her home, I walked into the room one day and she was trying to dress herself. And I said, Mom, what are you doing? And she said, I'm trying to dress myself, but I'm losing my mind.
Mm,
And so she had her underwear on her head and her shoes at her feet, and she was just very confused about how to dress herself. And so, me being the social worker that I was at that time in training, I walked in and I said, "Oh no, Mom, you're okay," and I helped her to dress herself. And I think that was an eye-opening experience for me to understand that I could no longer be her daughter. I had to be her mother at that point. Uh,
mhm.
of course, genetically, I was her daughter, but figuratively, I had to be her mother because I had to do all things for her to make sure that she
Yeah.
was taken care of. It was a great experience. I learned a lot. I was actually going to USC working on my master's in social work at that time, and my mother was going through her disease process. So I was learning what I was living at that time. And so it was really great. It helped me to understand every aspect of caregiving. It allows me now to help others. And that's where Caregiver Chronicles came from. Many people call me asking me how to help them with their parents, with their loved ones who, are dealing with the dementia or the Alzheimer's or any physical ailment that they may have or mental ailment. And so at that time, I will give them advice because living a caregiver life for 9 years, I could walk into someone's home and say, you need to do this, this, and this because I had lived it. And so it was one
Yeah.
of the greatest experiences one could ever have. So I
Hmm.
thank you for
And
allowing me to share that with
yeah,
you. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I just loved, that story, and just how you said, you were learning what you were living. So
Mhm.
even as you were taking care of her, you were learning so much yourself. And very seldom, to be honest, do I hear anyone say that this was a wonderful experience for me. And I think that's because there's so many dynamics involved with being, a caregiver, and not just being a caregiver, but a successful caregiver,
Right.
where you can maintain, your loved one, and try to still pour out that love on them, but yet keep, your peace within
Mhm.
you,
Right.
and so I'm sure that I was just about to ask you to take us into the how the Caregiver Chronicle was devised. I mean, how did you, put that together? Just say, I think it'll be good to help. So that's what we want to hear about. How
Yeah.
did you devise Caregiver Chronicles?
Yeah. So Caregiver Chronicles is actually a result of the pandemic, being
Wow.
isolated in 2020. And people calling me, asking me how to help them and this and that. And then I said, maybe I should do something a little different because I would, people call me for years asking me to help them. What do I do? My mother is sick. My family member is sick. How do I do this? What do I do? I need to know about medical equipment. I need to know what the doctors will do and all of the things that go along with caregiving. And so during the 2020, being isolated, I was like, okay, well, let me find me something to do. And so I did. I started pulling together the webinars. There's 19 courses in Caregiver Chronicles. They range all the way from the onset of your loved one's illness, all the way until they recover from that illness or until they transition home to be with the Lord. And so I started recording the webinars. I called up some professionals that I have, me being a social worker, having contracted with about, I'm going to say at some point, at one point or another, I was actually contracted with about, I'm going to say 100 home health or hospice agencies in the Southern California area. And so as their social worker, I would go into the homes and tell individuals how to handle their loved ones. And so that those connections allow me to call up the physical therapists, call up the nurses, call up the doctors, call up the mental health professionals and say, I need you to come on this webinar with me. Let's make a course up of how we can help others. And so many of the people that know me, they know that this is not just a passion, a job for me, it's a passion. And so when it's a
Mhm.
passion, it's not something you're doing just because or looking for a dollar. You're doing it because it's something that you love.
Yeah.
And so I was able to pull together the 19 courses in that time frame. I'm going to say it took me a couple of months to do that, and then in August of 2020, all the courses were ready. So I set up the website, and then I put it out there because there are many people who need help, and so
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
wanted to help them and share their passion with them and their concern, because a lot of times, and I was one of those caregivers, I had no clue about what to do when
Mhm.
I became a caregiver. I had to learn each and every day how to be a caregiver. And so with
Mhm.
that being said, I shared my knowledge with them in the courses, and shared the expertise of those who joined me in the courses, and just pulled
Mhm.
it all together to make sure that we could help somebody, because that's what it's about. If you're doing
Yeah.
if you're living a godly life, then you're about helping other people. And so
Absolutely.
that's what we're here for. And that's to
Okay.
share our knowledge with others.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Lisa. And also Lisa Baxter, who's an amazing person. Lisa has a show as well, the Lisa
Mhm.
Baxter Show. But she had
Okay.
a good question, a very good question. Now, here's what I'd like to do. I
Okay.
know that if I'm not mistaken, you have a presentation that you'd like to share with the audience, some
Yes.
things to show. Now, Lisa's question may be in that, but I'm going to go on and ask it.
Okay.
That
That's
initial one,
fine.
okay, she said, what do you do? I'm sorry, what do you say when a person is overwhelmed or have no, maybe she's saying doesn't have
We have
any
no
help?
help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. There are many people who are in those shoes. And matter of fact, I was myself. I didn't have help. It was just me and my three sons that I was raising as a single parent at the same time, going to school, working a full-time job, all of those things at the same time. And I had no help. So what I did was, and just to say this, share this experience, I hired people to come in and take care of my mother, because I couldn't deal with my two teenage sons that were vastly becoming teenagers, and my toddler, and take care of mama, who was like a daughter as well, like another child as at that time, without getting some help. And so what I did was I had someone coming in the morning, bathe my mother, get her dressed, take her to the daycare, and then I would pick my mom up on the way home from work. When you have someone who is overwhelmed with caregiving, it is very, very dangerous, because they can, the caregivers, if you've heard, caregivers can often succumb to their illness or to their ailments before the
Mhm.
patient does. And so it's
Mhm.
important to have help for the caregiver.
Mhm.
Sometimes if they don't have the financial means to have a caregiver, there's also in-home supportive services. If they're a low income, if they're on Medi-Cal, then they can tap into that and get some hours of service for caregiver
Mhm.
coverage for their
Mhm.
loved one.
And that what you just said is very important, because even when you were sharing, thank you, Lisa, that was a great question, and I'm going to
Yeah,
get to
it
your
was.
other one. But
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
it's really important to know alternative resources. Like you said, you like, I need some help, and
Right.
you hired. Well,
Yeah.
obviously that word hire comes attached with dollar signs, and
Exactly.
not everyone has those extra financial resources, which I really feel, and you can, I don't know if you would really know the answer to this. I feel that oftentimes that can be why, unfortunately, a lot of loved ones end up in nursing facilities, because
Oh,
I'm
oh,
sure it's a few reasons, but I know some of them. I
yes.
have known people to say, I had to work, and
Right.
I got these kids and family, I just couldn't do both,
Right.
and I didn't know where to turn for
Right.
help, if there was any help from the government or whatever. So maybe again, maybe in your, I'm sure during your classes you talk about these things.
Right.
I'm sure you do. And then again, maybe some of them we'll see in the module. So would that be rather correct in that?
Yes.
In, I just,
Yes. Yeah, when you are a caregiver and you're overwhelmed, and I never had the option to put my mother in a facility because I was blessed to not have to do that. But many people do it because it is such an overwhelming experience. The fact that your loved one is declining and you can't do much about it is enough stress in itself. And then to
mhm,
have to be that person, that caregiver, that everything for your loved one is twice as stressful. And so
mhm,
it's important that you do make a decision of that sort if you have to. The only
mhm,
way that I was going to put mom in a facility is if she could not be taken care of at home, because I knew that if I put her in a facility, then you run the risk of neglect. You run the risk
mhm.
of having to run to that facility and monitor the staff there because they're not doing what they're supposed to do.
Yes,
You are
yes.
babysitting these people because a lot of them do not do what they're supposed to do. Unfortunately, I've worked in a nursing home, so I can attest to that. Not saying
Mhm.
that that nursing home was of that sort, but it has happened. And so you
Right.
just have to figure out what's best for you and your family. Because
That's
once you
right.
figure out what's best for you and your family, then you can make an informed decision about how to
Mhm.
move forward and make sure that your loved one's well-being is managed. So
Mhm.
that's the
Mhm.
important piece.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. And I know that, I know that with having to make that decision, especially when it comes to a parent, a mother or father,
mhm,
um, that there, when you have to resort, unfortunately, to the nursing home, to the
yeah,
having to put them in a facility, I know there's got to be such, for many, emotional guilt with that, and so do you actually, even in what you do, even though with the Chronicles, find yourself actually utilizing your godly ministry, to people? Because I'm sure there's sadness, there's guilt,
yes,
and all sorts of
yeah,
things. Lisa was saying, my parents and husband, very difficult, especially being young and different ages, and they were battling,
yeah,
and battling your own illness, like,
right,
Lisa had an illness. Yeah, so that's what I mean. There's so much
right.
involved in that. What would you say about that, Dr.
Well,
Yvette?
I would say that you have to do an assessment and determine what's best for your family and your loved one, because everybody is not capable of being a caregiver in the home.
That's
If you
true.
cannot do it, then you have to sit back and say, okay, I know that the best thing for my loved one is to put my loved one in a facility where they're going to get the care, but also be mindful of the fact that you will have to monitor what's going on in that facility. Because many times when you put them in a facility, the care is compromised. And so you have to be available. You have to go up there unannounced. Well, maybe not with COVID right now, but at some point you have to go up there unannounced. You may have to call the ombudsman and tell them, something's going on here. They're not doing what they need to do about my loved one. And so there are many dynamics that go into a decision to put your loved one in a facility.
Mhm, mhm.
So
Yeah, and it's some horror stories, and I had one of my own, unfortunately, when my grandmother had to, be placed in one, and my grandmother was a dialysis patient. and,
Yeah.
succumb to kidney disease. And I was the one who would pop in,
Right.
unannounced.
Announce.
And
Yes.
I was working then, as you know, I'm a retired police officer.
Right.
And so where the facility was near my beat. So I would pop in, and they knew me.
Mhm.
And my grandmother had shared something with me about one of the aides or assistants that she had fallen,
Mhm.
and this woman said something very nasty to her. This is a classic
Mhm.
example of what you're talking about in some of
Yes.
these facilities, and told her
Mhm.
she wished she had, when she fell, she wished she had broken her
Oh
so
my
and so.
oh my goodness. This is so sad.
Listen, I saw red.
I'm sure.
Okay. And I went and found that woman, and let me just say, I wasn't a woman of God then.
Mhm.
Okay. I am
Mhm.
now. So it
Mhm.
wasn't nice what I said to her. And I
I'm sure.
literally told
Yeah.
her, I will beat you down if
Right.
you ever treat my grandmother like that again, because I knew
Yeah.
she wasn't lying. She was totally of sound mind,
Right.
so she wasn't making that up. I saw the hurt and the pain in her face, and
Right.
I was like, okay, we got to get you out of here to
Right.
somewhere better. And so I think a lot of people experience these things when they have their loved ones in nursing homes. And I always say, if you can help it, good Lord, try not to put, them
Right. If
in
you can help
there.
it, don't. If you can do anything other than put them in a nursing home and make sure that they're cared for, don't. I saw a question on the screen.
Yes,
Satara Siverals, a
yes,
lovely young lady, and her question was, "How do you find the resources to help? To help? How did I find the resources to help me?"
yes.
I think the resource that helped me was me being a social worker, being
Mm,
in the know, having worked for the political in the political arena, knowing the community resources, knowing what Meals on Wheels is, knowing what all of the resources in the community. I had worked in that field, and so that is what helped me to know. And I still didn't know when it came about, but I learned each and every day. I learned about Medi-Cal. I learned that you have to be low income to get support. That's
mhm,
that's given to those who are at a certain financial bracket. So I had
mhm.
to learn each and every day what to do and how to do it. Now there are
Yeah.
those who have the financial means. There's no question about what they can do for their loved one. But there are those who
Mhm.
are in the middle. Mom was in the middle. She had a middle range income. So she wasn't eligible for Medi-Cal, which would allow her to get in-home support services where the county would pay uh, 385 hours or something of the sort a month for someone to care for her. She wasn't in that bracket, but she also wasn't high income where her care was just covered. And so I had
Mhm.
to borrow from Paul to pay Peter to make
Yeah.
sure that those caregivers were paid. And so I
Yeah.
did. And just to share with you some things that I had to do, I even took some of my scholarship money from school and
Wow.
used it to pay for the
Mhm.
caregivers because I knew that she had to be cared for at all costs. And so her
Mhm.
care was the ultimate for me. And so I did what I had to do. I learned about
Mhm.
the resources as I went along through the illness. And so that was the beauty of me learning it because I was able to take that information and share it with other people. Many
Yeah.
people don't know what to do. They don't know about Medi-Cal. They don't know
No.
about in-home support.
Yeah.
They don't know about the resources that are available. They don't know about the Caregiver Resource Center. They don't know about a stipend. And I'll share this one story with you, and then I'll share the information about the courses and that type of thing. Um, mom was, they had a respite program at the Caregiver Resource Center up at USC. And so I decided to put mom on the list because they would pay a stipend for caregivers to take care for your loved one. Put mom on the list. She was on the list for several years. Well, she had Alzheimer's for 9 years. And so I called one day in about the seventh year of her illness. And I said, well, I'm checking in with you because my mom, she needs this resource. I have caregivers I'm paying. Can you help me? They said, well, she's still on the waiting list. And I was like, okay. I said, well, I told her one day, I said, you know what, ma'am? I said, my mother's going to be dead before you help me. And when I told her that, she
Mm.
called me back the next day and they gave me the stipend. And so that was a blessing. But sometimes you have to say what's on your heart. Because when I told
Right.
her that it must have struck her, and
Mhm.
I ended up getting that resource. So it was just a lot, but it was very educational. It was very it was a passion. It gave me something that no other experience has given me in life. So
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
really hold that in high
Mhm.
regard. So anyway,
Yeah.
if it's okay with you now, Bella, I'll share the information regarding
Yes.
the
Yes,
Chronicle.
that's fine.
Okay. All right.
And while you're pulling that up, guys, yeah. So, Lisa, you threw something on the screen just now, and it is really about. It's important to find out the resources, and what all the ins and outs, and that takes time. It takes doing some homework. It takes making calls. So yeah, it takes time to find out these things. But I think what's good is when you can deal with someone such as Yvette, who is knowledgeable in these things and get that help. Everyone doesn't know how to reach out or doesn't reach out, and then they give up too easily.
Right.
So,
Okay. So I'm sitting here trying to get the course information on the screen. Let's see if I can do it right quick. Let's see. This is a new program for me, so I'm learning as I go.
yeah, that's fine.
Am I sharing my
Um,
screen? Can you see
not yet.
the
I
courses?
can't. No,
No,
not
not
yet.
yet.
Okay.
Okay.
You see them now?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you see it now?
Yes,
Yes, I can.
You can see the Caregiver Chronicles?
I
I
can.
can.
Okay. So let me just tell you about Caregiver Chronicles online courses. Caregiver Chronicles is an 8-week, step by step, complete walkthrough of caregiving, caretaking, providing, and the overseeing of your loved one. The courses answer all questions related to caregiving, and myself, Dr. Jackson, as the course developer, will be available to you if there are unanswered questions or you need additional reinforcement and support. Now, these are the courses that are available. What is a caregiver? Educating yourself on the diagnosis, caring for a sick loved one, observing your loved one's religious belief, a healthy lifestyle, navigating the medical professionals, understanding medication, legal matters, advanced directives, power of attorney, the decision maker, insurance like Medicare, Medi-Cal, HMOs, PPOs, community resources, durable medical equipment like wheelchairs, walkers, when a caregiver is needed, finding a caregiver, placement in a skilled nursing facility or assisted living facility, family dynamics, home health, hospice, and preparing for your loved one's transition. Those are the 19 courses that are available. In order to register for the courses, there are 5 options that you have. Option 1, which includes all 19 courses, 16 modules or courses, as well as the 3 additional courses as a bonus, 6 private consultations, a weekly live group, and an invite to a private Facebook group. And option number 2 includes 8 modules or classes, 4 private consultations, weekly live group, and an invite to a private Facebook group. Option number 3 is 4 modules or classes with 2 private consultations, the weekly live group. Option 4 is 1 module or class, 2 private consultations, the weekly live group. And then option 5 consists of 3 private consultations. So if you're interested in Caregiver Chronicles, you can visit our website at www.caregiverchronicles247.com. You can also email us at caregiverchronicles247@gmail.com. And you can schedule a free private consultation at the link that's reflected on the screen, https:// rebrand.ly/G3N1VRO, or you can visit our YouTube page at Caregiver Chronicles 24/7. Now, Caregiver Chronicles 24/7, basically, I hold on a second. Let me get back to the show. Okay. Okay. Now, Caregiver Chronicles 24/7 is a Friday Night Live is a show that I was hosting where we would talk about caregiver issues when I actually started up the courses. I would go on Friday night and talk about, different topics related to caregiving. And if you're interested, you can basically go to that YouTube channel and take a look at it, and you'll find some very interesting guests there, as well as information that might be helpful for you. But most important, that the private consultations are really important because people have uh, various areas of concern that they, are dealing with their loved ones, and so they want to, speak with me directly, and I'd be
Mhm.
happy to speak with them and see how I can support them and their family and their caregiver journey.
Okay.
Let,
I want to
let me.
jump in with I want to jump in, Yvette, with a few things
Yes,
before you
yes,
continue.
yes.
Thank you so much, April, for joining. I'm glad. I thought this would be a great topic too. So thank you. Um, so I may have missed this when you were showing us the presentation, but what I wanted to ask that, you never know what somebody may be, when someone may be thinking the same thing.
Right.
Um, you have the packages. I saw that. Now, let's say you have a seasoned, I like to call people who are skilled and stuff, seasoned,
Season, yes,
a seasoned caregiver who is
exactly.
very skilled at that. However, no one's perfect. So let's say they have one weakness
Right.
and or something that they'd like to get better at, let's say. So say
Yes.
that as I jotted down one of your categories, because this is what is talked about a lot in the transplant community, the importance of having a relationship with your doctors.
Right.
So you're that representative for their caregiver, those are your doctors.
Yes.
So, what if they wanted to just say, Dr. Yvette, I'm good with most of this other stuff, but I have an issue with the doctor situation. I'm having some trouble with that. So, I'd like to take the class on navigating the medical professionals. Could
Right.
they, in fact, just take that one class with you,
Yes.
and okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, there
Yeah.
you go,
There's an
guys.
option. I think it's option 4 with just one class. And I think there's
Okay.
2 private consultations that go along with that. But yeah, they would be able to do that. And the reason why I added option 5, which is just the private consultations, because some people don't have time when they're caregiving. They don't want to look at no courses. They don't have time for that. They just
Hmm.
want you to tell them what to do at that point in time. And so I did get several individuals to contact me about that, and so that's when I developed the private consultations.
Okay, good. That's
Okay.
really because that's really good to know because you sometimes you may just think, oh, I don't really, excuse me, need to do all that or have the time to do all that. So it is good to know that you can just pick a particular topic
Right. You can
and
pick
deal with
whichever
that.
course you would interested in. If you select the one with one course, you can pick the course. You don't have to take a specific course because
Okay.
everyone is unique in their caregiver journey.
Right,
So
exactly.
so
Every
that's
journey is
important
is
as
is
well.
different.
May
And
I just
yeah, go ahead.
say one other thing? I am
Yeah.
in the process of uh, pulling together a book, and it's called Caregiver Chronicles: Memoirs of the Journey.
Hmm.
And it is inclusive of those who have been caregivers who would like to share their testimony. And so, if you're interested in sharing your testimony, you can also email me your up to 8 page testimony, and you will be included in the book as well.
Oh, nice. Okay, there you go,
I
guys.
didn't, I didn't share that with
Okay.
you, but yeah, that's something.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did.
Yeah,
That is very helpful, Lisa. Yeah, I mean, it's good to have. I'm a girl too. I love being having the internet at my access and
yes.
researching things, but I'm a book girl. I got
Okay.
mega books. I read,
Yes.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I like the paper, the smell of the
Right.
books.
All right.
So
Right.
that's
Right.
really great that
Thank
you
you.
have the book. So yeah, this is great. But so here's what I wanted to ask too, and Jared, while I'm asking her this question, I did see another question that April had. But what
Okay.
I wanted to ask you also is when you speak with caregivers, what do you find to be some of their greatest and let's just say more popular challenges?
I think the one of the most popular challenges is the family dynamics.
Mm,
Family dynamics can be a very concerning issue when you're dealing with caregiving. Because the family can be at odds. Families are oftentimes torn apart during this process. They can come together. Some of them come together. Some of them are torn apart because there's one who wants to control. There's one who wants to, you know, make sure that things are done a certain way. And then there's some families where they will honor the elder member of the family and kind of go along with that. But family dynamics is one of the main challenges, and being able to be on one accord when there's multiple children involved and that type of thing. And then the spouse may want the patient to be treated a certain way and the children don't, and they don't agree.
mm,
So, family dynamics is a very critical piece of caregiving.
mm-hmm.
And I can say
Okay.
that from a personal perspective as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So April said at the end of the day, tell us how have the Chronicles, I think what she's saying, been fulfilling for your life mentally and spiritually. And she said
Right.
you're such a gem.
Yeah.
And
Thank
yeah.
you. Bless you. Bless you. Caregiver Chronicles is something that has allowed me to give back to others. Being a caregiver was one of the most, and I think I said this in the beginning, was one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had. It taught me, it was very stressful. I won't say it wasn't stressful, but it was something that it gave me some sustenance in my life because it
Mhm,
allowed me to take my journey as a caregiver and share it with others and help them to empower them, if you will, to do things as they should for their loved ones. So
mhm,
it was a very fulfilling experience. It has helped me mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually because it's a
mhm,
spiritual walk. It's not just a walk, you know, uh, a walk. It's not just a walk, it's a spiritual walk because when you walk in the spirit, you're going to do whatever you can to help God's people. And so that is critical. That's
mhm.
critical. It's a mandate in the Bible that you help other
Yes.
people. And so when you helping other people, you're doing God's will. And so that
Mhm.
is a critical piece of this.
Give and it shall be given unto you.
Yes, exactly.
Goodness, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that's fact,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's so much more enriching to your
Yes.
own life,
Yes.
and I wish, I pray all the time that more people will come to realize that. You know
Yes.
what I mean? That go through so many things
Yeah.
and wonder why, why, and so it's so much bigger than just us.
Yeah.
It's
It's it's
bigger
it's
than
it's,
us,
it's way
you
bigger than
know.
us. It's
Yeah,
a godly walk. It's a godly assignment when you're
absolutely.
doing His will.
Yeah, yeah. And so I have another question.
Sure.
You know, what um like we talked about, it's so important to me for people to know where they can go. I mean, even this is even outside of course, your great courses
Uh huh.
for help. And so, regarding financial assistance, and so can a person actually receive some type of governmental subsidy for a caregiver of an elderly parent or something? And how do they go about finding these things out? Because like everybody again can't afford this out of their own pocket. And you even spoke about something, unless I misunderstood, when you said, did you pronounce that medical?
Yeah, and let me tell you a little bit about Medicare and Medi-Cal.
Yeah,
So
please.
Medicare is a government program that's given to those who have worked a certain number of quarters throughout their life, or they have a diagnosis that makes them eligible for Medicare, such as end-stage renal disease.
Yes,
You're on dialysis. That automatically qualifies you for Medicare.
correct.
AIDS, HIV, chronic alcoholism, uh,
Mm,
several different diagnoses will automatically qualify you for Medicare. Now that's
Mhm.
for as well as being able to being having worked a certain number of quarters. And then Medi-Cal, which is called Medicaid in other states.
Oh, that's
Okay,
why they were.
that's the
Okay.
clarifying point because a lot of people don't understand that Medi-Cal in California is Medicaid in other states. Okay,
Got it. Yep.
all right. And so that is for low income. Your income has to be in a range. I'm going to say a range because I don't know the exact, but they have raised it to about 14 something a month or a little bit less. But if you're
1,400 as in 14.
1400 a month of your
Okay.
income. Now, if you're
Hmm.
getting 1400 a month, it's likely that you're going to have a share of cost. And some of you may have heard that term before. The share of cost means that you have to, like if you're getting $1,000 a month, and I'm sorry, if you're getting $1,400 a month, you're only allowed about 1,000 a month, and so that share of cost is going to be about $400 or $500, which is the difference. And you have to
Hmm.
either pay that, spin it down. Like if you have a lot of medication that
Yes.
costs a lot, you can spend that 400 or 500 down, or you will have to pay that money out every month before you can
Wow.
access the Medicaid or
Okay.
Medi-Cal in California.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
And so mom was at a point, just to share with you, she was getting about maybe around 1400 a month. And it put her in a bracket that was over the range. So she couldn't get the Medi-Cal. And so whatever I did for her, I had to either pay it out of my pocket or pay it out of her funds or whatever means we had to pay it. We had to pay it
Hmm.
because she wasn't
Hmm.
eligible at the time. They have raised the threshold a bit, but not much.
Hmm.
So just to let you know that Medicare and Medi-Cal. Now, if you're Medi-Medi, that means you're low income across the board, then
Hmm.
most things will be covered for you. But you
Okay.
basically will be at a point where you don't really have much of anything anyway. And that makes you, when you're eligible for Medi-Cal or Medicaid, then you are eligible for in-home supportive services, which is a program that the county has where they will pay for someone to assist with your care up to about 283 hours per month. Okay.
Okay.
And so it is based on your income as well as
Hmm.
your Medi-Cal eligibility. If you're not eligible for Medi-Cal or Medicaid, you're not eligible for in-home supportive services.
So would things like SSI be taken into the equation? With that, you know what I mean? Because there's some people who have been afflicted all their lives with the
Right,
illness. So that would also be,
right.
okay.
And then most of those who have SSI, they're likely eligible for Medi-Cal or
Yeah.
Medicaid in other states.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, they would be eligible. But like I said, it's an individual basis. I don't want to give any definitive,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I do
Yeah.
want to say that if they're receiving SSI, it's likely that they will be eligible for Medi-Cal or Medicaid. But they would have to go through that process.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Thank you,
Now,
Lisa Baxter.
yes,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate all those great questions and
Yeah.
comments coming through. No better way to show charity than to serve. Yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
Jared. Our
Exactly.
brothers and sisters,
Exactly.
that's what it's all about.
That's
So
right.
now you are also something else that you're doing that is very near and dear to me because through my church, I was on the prison ministry.
Right.
And I see that I saw in your bio that you serve with the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. So tell
Yes.
us a little bit about your role with them.
Right. So I work for the Integrated Substance Use Disorder Treatment Program. And that is a program where they are providing resources and support to inmates who have substance use or history or addiction concerns. And so we basically provide assessments to them. And in the process, it's a new program that's actually been in the prison for about, I'm going to say a year and a half. It'll be 2 years in January that the
Hmm.
program has been in the system. And
Hmm.
so we do assessments with them, video conference with them, just talk with them and find out what their usage is and see what we can do to support them and make sure that they have the MAT program, the medication assistance treatment, where they receive, the medication to help with their substance use. For
Mm-hmm.
the opioid crisis is rampant at this point,
Yeah.
and then with the isolation of the pandemic, it allowed it to escalate because people were isolated. So of course they were getting high more, when they was
Yeah.
home, and
Mm-hmm.
so that kind of escalated things as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
the opioid crisis is a big concern at this point in time.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely is for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
And we're
and
hearing
it's
about it.
everywhere. The
I'm
prisons.
sorry.
I said it's
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. It's in the prisons. It's in the streets. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it is as if it's not enough that we're dealing with this pandemic,
Exactly.
and I know that's just getting back to the main thing, caregiving. I know that's been very difficult. I know people who have lost that were caring for a parent or whatever, who have lost their loved one due to COVID.
Yes.
So I'm sure in what you do, you're experiencing this too. And so, um,
Yes.
yeah, exactly, Jared. Yeah, these problems are definitely escalating because of the pandemic.
Right.
So, how do you what type of suggestions do you give to a person, because I know with you being in the ministry there's grief counseling involved, with that
Yeah.
as well.
Yes.
But when you're living with when a person you're caring for literally 24/7, what type of suggestions do you give to them, do you offer them for themselves, for
Right.
coping, because this is big too. It's about who we're caring for, but it's also about
Self
that.
care.
Exactly.
Self
What type of things
preservation.
do you share with them?
Yeah, it's important that the caregiver have some relief and that they make time for themselves. Get away if you can. Have someone take care of your loved one while you go away. Someone that you feel comfortable with. I
Mhm.
know in my journey I had to do it. And
Yeah.
but mom was at a point where I would take her with me. If I was going to the resort with my sons, she went too.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I would do it, but I would do it and take her with me because as she progressed in the disease process, she began to look for me more. And she would
Hmm.
start asking others, "Where's Yvette? Where's Yvette? Where's Yvette?" And so when
Hmm.
she did that, I was like, okay, my time away became limited because I knew it was stressing for her. But I
Yeah.
also made time for myself. The beauty of this whole thing was before she got really sick, she told me, she said, I want you to make sure that you make sure that everything is good for you. Make sure
Mm.
that you take care of yourself. And I don't
Yeah.
know if she knew this was before she got sick. I don't know if she knew what I was going to have to go through, but she told me
Right.
that. I didn't forget that. So it's important that you make time for yourself. Include your family members if they can be trusted to take care of your loved one. Don't try to take it all on yourself because it can be one of the most stressful situations. And as I mentioned before, caregivers often succumb, they often pass before the patient that they're caring for because they're so
Wow.
stressed out behind it. So that is
Wow.
critical
Yeah.
piece of caregiving.
Exactly. That's what,
Critical.
I just, I did not know that, of course, what you
Yeah.
just shared. That's the statistic.
Yeah.
But what I did know is that it's stressful. I
Yes.
know I've known caregivers, and
Yes.
this is what they share a lot of times. They're like, "But look, it's so hard. You just have no idea,
Yes.
because what happens too, if it's a parent and obviously it's a elderly senior parent, it's like they revert back to a child. It's like they're going backward.
Exactly. Yeah. You
You
heard
know
that
what I
statement?
mean?
Once an
Yes.
adult, twice a child.
Right. So
Twice.
child.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. That's
Yes.
it. And they do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I remember ministering to someone, a friend, and saying, you know what? But you just got to remember how mom was there for you. And
That's
I
right.
know you was a hoot.
That's
That's what I told one of my friends. I know you was a hoot. And
right.
so you
Right.
just
Okay.
gotta really, and I know it's difficult. It's not to take away. I was like, from what you're feeling. I'm not,
Right.
being, like thinking, yeah, suck it up. That's
Right.
not what I'm saying. But you do have to keep in mind just all that a parent did. to
Yes.
bless your life and get you to the point where you are,
Right.
and then they need us at that point. And
Yeah.
I believe I can count on my children to
Yeah.
be, that person, those people for me, to
Exactly.
provide me with that care. It was a blessing for what you did with your for your mom, and I'm
Yeah.
sure countless others on here. If I missed any questions, Jared, please throw them back up on the screen. But I just want to also acknowledge, share with everybody, Yvette, that which was very impressive. You're the second vice president for the Los Angeles District Women's Auxiliary.
Yeah.
That's really awesome, and interim president for your Faith District Association. So you
Yeah.
got a lot of irons in the fire, lady.
Well, and yeah, I'm also just been elected as president-elect for the state women of the Western Baptist State Convention. So keep
Congratulations.
me in your prayers as I continue to do God's
Yes.
will. I solicit your prayers to
Absolutely,
continue.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Jared said it was a very powerful interview. Oh, he's still asking everyone to share it. Yeah, please share
Yes.
this because this is
Yes.
good information. And
Yeah.
like I said, even I said in a little video that I did before the show that, even if you're not in that place in your life as an
Right.
adult, of course, and with a loved one,
Right.
my grandmother used to say, you may not be dealing with something right now, but just keep living. You
Right.
know what I
Just
mean?
keep living. That's
Okay,
right.
just keep living
I
because,
want to. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And you want to treat people the way you would want to be, treated.
Right. Right.
I used to, what is that? Lisa said, I used to tell my husband, let's time something so the children won't put us away. I'm not. She's got a typo in there, but
Uh-huh. Let's
yeah,
type. Let's type something
use
that
to.
so the children won't
Mm-hmm.
get us away. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it's important that you let your children, you have to have these conversations. You have to
Mm-hmm.
talk to your children about what you want.
What you want?
Do you
Yep.
want to be put in a nursing home? Now, some instances, there's no other alternative, depending on your level of care, because sometimes people go to a level where they need subacute and they need acute care. They have
Yeah.
traits and all of those things. Those are instances where you would want to be in a facility where the care is managed properly. But if at all intents and purposes you want to be at home with your loved ones, you need to have that conversation with them and let them know. If I get sick, and I'm saying it on record right now for my sons, I have three of them and I don't have any daughters. Do
Mm-hmm.
not put me in a nursing home, not unless you cannot take care of me at home. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
that's a lot of times the people they end up with bed sores, they have decubitus ulcers, and
Yes.
that is one of the most
Falls. Lots of
horrendous
falls.
things. Yeah, so
Lots of falls. Yeah.
she said, "What's her email again?"
Sherry, could you put that email address back up, please,
Right.
so
I want to
that
give a shout out to the Western Baptist State Convention family and President Hardwick, the
okay.
president of the convention, and all of the members who support me and those who have asked me to be the president-elect for the Women's Auxiliary because I enjoy doing what I do and helping others. And so this is just another piece of the puzzle. So
Okay.
thank you. Okay.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And this has been a great, story is sharing your journey and then just how
Thank you.
great it is that that journey tied into you being able to utilize the situation to help
Right.
others through your courses. So I'm sure everyone here was blessed by that, as well as the many that didn't get to see it live but that are going to continue to see it. So you keep
Right.
sharing it too, Dr. Yvette, and
I
that way,
will definitely.
it's constantly, it will be, and again, I'm on Facebook Live as well as YouTube, so it's going to
Yes.
be recorded under
Right.
that as well. And if it's not, if you don't see it directly under Bella's Hope for Healing, I am under the umbrella of Urban Health Outreach Media. And so all our shows are definitely
Okay.
listed under that.
Okay.
So,
And
so
shout out to my three sons also, Mitchell, Andrew,
okay,
and Quan Jr. They are the ones who helped me caregive for my mother. And my
yeah,
youngest son, Antoine, actually found my mother when she passed at home. And so
yeah,
give a
yeah.
shout out on
That's
them
good
for
that
being
you,
junior
yeah.
caregivers. Okay.
Absolutely. Each one teach one,
Yes.
so,
Yes.
because, hey, they may have to care for you one day. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
but I always in my show with a scripture that I kind of pray about and ask God to
Okay.
put on my heart what would be befitting for
Yes.
this person. And it was very easy for me to figure out one for you because of the caregiving and then again being a woman, of God and all that you're out here doing in the
Yes.
industry. So it's
Yes.
under the book, and it's for everybody else. It's not just for her. We all take away this from this. Is Hebrews 6:10, which says, "God is not unjust; He will not forget your work and the
Yes.
love that you have shown Him as you have helped His people and
Yes.
continue to help them."
Yes.
That's
Mm.
God's
Bless,
word is bond,
bless you.
meaning just what we were talking about earlier. When we do for God's children, He
Yes.
is going to reflect that right back upon us, our children, our
Yes.
grandchildren. This is
Yes.
how He operates. Give and it shall be given unto you, good measure,
That's
pressed
it.
down, shaken together,
Taking.
and
Yes.
running
Yes.
over. This is how our
Hallelujah.
Father works.
That's right. That's how.
So,
That's it.
yes,
That's
so
it.
thank you so much. I know you're going to get some
Thank you.
calls
Thank
about
you.
your courses,
Okay.
and I am just looking. Let's keep in touch. Keep me
Yes,
posted.
please.
Please also about your book that you have
Yes.
up and coming. I'll
Right.
probably do a little bit of story myself, and
Okay, I'd
send
like
it.
for anyone that's
Yeah,
a caregiver that wants to share their experience or their journey or their testimony, because what we are about is helping others, and that book is going to allow your testimony to give someone some encouragement to continue on in their journey. So please
absolutely.
email me the information if you're interested. Around the middle of January, I'll be pulling everything together. I'm looking for about 30 or 40 people, so don't
Yeah.
feel like you're over the top. 8 pages max. Send it to me. I'm waiting on it.
Amen.
God bless
Amen.
you.
Well,
Bless
God
you.
bless you, Dr.
Thank you.
Yvette, and thank
Thank
you
you.
again. And God
Thank you.
continue to bless your work and what you're doing. And
Thank you for
Happy
the
New
chat.
Year to you.
Happy New Year. Have
Thank
a blessed
you.
day,
You.
everyone. God
Bye
bless you. Thank you,
bye.
Jared. Thank you, Jared. Bye bye.
Wow, that was good. First and foremost, let me say, Lisa, baby girl, go eat, honey. I don't want you getting sick. I appreciate the support for the show. I saw that. This was great. This was great, and I hope it blessed me. And I hope it blessed you guys as well. I think that her courses are great. There were so many topics that she's touching on in those modules that I know can be very, very helpful for people. So yeah, I encourage you guys again, even if you're not in that position yourselves, to definitely share share my show tonight, because it can really help someone. Trust me, I know that. Even if it's just from an auditory standpoint, that they can hear all the things that she shared. Now, again, we are coming up on the new year. We have this new variant out here, Omicron. I want everybody to be careful as recipients, as transplant warriors. We cannot afford to let our guard down, guys. We have to continue. I had my booster a week ago. Praise God, I had no side effects, just a little soreness in the arm, and I was working that arm several times a day in order for it to not to advance, and it didn't. And again, that's how God takes care of us when we're doing His work. But yeah, get your booster if you haven't gotten it. For those that are making it a point to be vaxxed, and stay safe. Wear that mask. Try not to be in crowds, unmasked, because we don't know who has been vaxxed out here. I, in the month of January, go on a hiatus because I do the Daniel fast. And that is for those that are familiar, that is a fast where you're not eating meat, sweets, carbs. It is intense, but it can be done. Let me tell you, I've been doing it now diligently probably for like the past 3 years. And that is such a great time for me because it allows me better clarity on what God wants me to do for the year. It gives me focus and I get to just cleanse myself. Also, you give up things. That's what a fast is about, and that's part of your prayer and giving God all of your attention. And so social media is one of those things I give up because I'm doing a detox and a cleansing. So Bella's Hope for Healing won't be back until the very end of January or the first week of February, but I'll be back. I got that 21, that fast lasts for 21 days. And I take it very seriously. And I have never cheated, thank God. So I'm always really excited about it because I consider myself a little pro at it for now. I suggest to whoever hasn't done a fast, you don't have to do that one to that intensity, but just do a fast where you cleanse yourself and get, a lot of the things we deal with, guys, mentally, we putting too much into our brains, too much negative stuff. If you're not a negative person, that's great, but we can allow sometimes so much negative energy to surround us that it takes us into that dark place. And the enemy is busy. He's the roaring lion looking for who he can devour. So we got to be on guard for that. So take some time, like Dr. Yvette said, you got to take some time for you too. Whatever that is, do something you love, do something that brings you joy and gives you peace in your heart and mind. So I just want to wish you guys a very happy new year. Be well, be encouraged, set your goals and just do what you need to do for you. Take care of you, and keep God at the forefront of that. I love you. Jesus loves you, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Happy 2022. I'll see you then. Bye.